Hey everyone, thank you for joining me today. Today I'll be doing a watercolor test in our Rêverie Journal. So this is the second edition of our journals. They now come with a real cold press watercolor paper at 160 GSM and are lightly dotted with light brown dots. To test the paper, I'll be using the Van Gogh watercolor paints. I'm not a watercolor expert, I'm actually self-taught, so if I don't use the correct terminology, I'm sorry. Also, as I test the paper, I'll actually be using a lot more water than I normally use when I paint. Normally I wouldn't use this much, but I will just be using a lot more to test the paper and just to see how it reacts to the amount of water. So let's get started. To begin, I'm just doing some long paintbrush strokes so you can see how the paint goes on smoothly on the paper. Next, I wanted to blend two colors, so I took blue and yellow. And as you can see, they're blending quite well on the paper, and it's actually quite smooth. Even though I'm not very good at this technique, you can see that the paper holds the color and the extra water that I'm adding to blend them. So next, I'm adding some drops of water directly onto the paper, followed by some paint. Normally, if this wasn't watercolor paper, the paper would have just absorbed the water rather quickly. But as you can see here, we have time to add the paint. Next, I'll be testing a wet on wet technique on the paper. And I'll start by just wetting a large squared area on the paper, followed by some paint. Next, I'll just start to blend that all out. And as you can see, there is actually really a lot of water on the paper, so you can see it moving across the paper on the page. So right now I'm just doing a bit of a wash, and as you can see, the paper hasn't become a soggy mess. There is no lifting or peeling that you would normally get on other journal paper. So it's handling the amount of water really well. So here's just a close-up so you can see that there's no crinkling and that none of the paper has lifted off. These are the finished results, and the page is fully dry. And I really like how the paint has dried. It looks really smooth and the colors look pretty on the page. So let's turn the page over to see the back to see if there was any ghosting or bleed through. And as you can see that there's none. Even though I used tons of water, the paper has held up really well, so I'm happy about that. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Have a great day, and until next time.